Welcome back. Hold on. To Stogie Geeks, episode 285, volume 2. If you're just tuning in, you're late. But you're not that late. We just had an interview with Altidus. That was interesting. Well, I'm going to have some of my... I'm going to go ahead and say 23 years in the industry. I'm doing expert commentary on that interview there today after the Sticks of the Week. Unless my Bloody Mary kicks in and my blood pressure lowers.
Yeah, they were awesome, guys.
No, it was good. It was good to have Altidus on. There were a little bit of inside baseball. I'm transparent, so I say it, right? We had an interview with Altidus, and a gentleman relatively new to the position, but not new to Altidus, had taken over, and then they had a time constraint. So if that interview seems a little pushed in together, I apologize to the Stogie Geeks listeners, but they will be on, and they will be back for sure. And remind me after we're done with the Sticks to kind of wrap up the show.
For sure.
About some of the things, because it was kind of like, they threw a couple of things, we threw a couple of things, and everything was not fully vetted from an interview perspective, in my opinion. But it brought out a lot of interesting topics, which I think the Stogie Geeks listener would likes the commentary that we're going through in the business acumen that is being brought. So there you go.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a 2-minute drill, and hey, we roll with it.
We roll with it.
We're like Brady like that. We just succeed.
Brady. You like Brady?
Isn't that going to be your kid's first name?
Yeah. Hell no. Even though I'm a Patriots fan. But anyway, we have Mr. Russ Evers in studio. Russ has been joining us past couple of episodes. First of all, now that you're officially here in front of us, I want to apologize for the tequila episode when you just sat there for 3 hours and gutted 4 sentences.
That was tequila.
Second of all, the post party from the tequila episode continued into well after midnight. There, it was a pretty epic night, and it just happened that Red Sox were playing the Yankees. We went next door.
All that.
It was kind of crazy and fun. But you are here. Live in studio from sunny Naples, Florida.
Absolutely.
How's it feel to not sweat when you're talking about Stogies?
Am I missing the weather a little bit? Both ways. I mean, I do love the fall up here and stuff like that, but living in the tropics and the cigars down there, it's just a different lifestyle, a little bit slower. But hey, when you got friends in the studio, why not?
Yeah. Plan. I always have a plan and an always thing. Cigar show down in Naples, Florida sounds really cool. I was there. When I visited there the last week of April, I was just like, oh yeah, I could. Yeah.
I mean, one day, I'm in a rocking chair smoking a cigar. Next thing you know, I'm outside on a patio. I'm just every which way to smoke a cigar. It's never quiet in the shop down there, though. Everybody's always coming in like, oh, what's the new stick? And I'm like, let me educate you on a little something, give you a good taste of what we have. And brought that up in the Stogies of the Week. Got a little something from Naples for the people.
Nice. I remember when I was sitting, it was in Fort Lauderdale. I was on Los Salas Boulevard, and I was in a cigar shop. I did Stogie Geeks from there, and afterwards I hung out. The guy has a wine wall, craft beer wall, and there's craft beer down there, which I thought was pretty cool because I'm kind of into that as well. And I sat in the cigars, and one thought came to my mind, right? Which it's kind of like I was like, why did I start Cigar Club Radio in the Providence Metro and not here, right? right. And then I was like, well, I started Cigar Club Radio, and it led me into an introduction to Stogie Geeks, and here I am, and again it led me into an introduction into Security Weekly.
Here we are. What?
And I'm about to have a baby within 5 days. Let me check my phone, make sure we're good, right? About to have a baby within 5 to 10 days, depending on how things go through the natural process.
It's all right, man. I mean,
and so if I'm a little frazzled, or if you've been watching Stogie Geeks progressively, and I seem like a little more off my rocker, I'm off my rocker. See, now I'm excited because I'm frazzled by nature. But now I'm a dad, so I have well, soon I'll be a dad, right?
Yep.
And it's like I have an excuse to be frazzled, right?
Exactly. That phone call could come any minute.
Yeah. Well,
You're warming up the bottles at 3 a.m.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I'm at a comfortably numb, impatiently waiting state right now when in regards to that. And then you take natural state of business. And me starting my position here at Security Weekly full time, it's I'll tell you, it's been a wild 100 days. But when I first found out on January 11th, it's been a wild 2018. You know what I mean? You know, I remember when we first got the test and it was like, "Oh, you're gonna be a dad." I said, "Happy New Year." I was like, let's do this. This is great, you know.
Now's the time, man.
You know, and it's just been wild, you know. And now I'm at the point where it's like, you know, things are built, house is ready, and I'm kind of like, whew, okay, cool. But I'm kind of like, oh yeah, but this is coming, so excited.
Yeah, Papa Bear does boxing and some UFC training, so you know, protection is already in your blood. So.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I was told he can't go to the gym until he can walk, so I'm hoping he walks day 3. You know, because I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta get to the gym. But anyway,
sweep the leg.
Yeah, we'll have to do that. But sticks of the week. Anyway, that's what's been going on here. Russ is here from sunny Naples. Sticks of the week. I got some interesting ones. I've been smoking for Stogie Geeks some stuff that is really out of my element, like totally out of my element, and trying to see where the consumers would kind of like this type stuff there, you know, because I've been here for a while now, and I can't keep waving the Viaje flag. That's coming from me. That's not coming from management or anything. But.
Right. I've known you for at least 4 years, and it's always been Viaje and stuff like that. But, you know, in Naples, Florida, there's a specific shop for every little line, and you got to seek them out. But that's why I'm always at a different shop, because I'm in the mood for the Viaje.
Right.
So, yeah, Ventinos and stuff like that when I want Machu Picchu, Monte Cristo. Oh. Can't wait this year, man. They got the Bride coming out. That's going to be some nice stick going on.
Yeah. They got some cool stuff coming out, and it's definitely you know, it's a good time to be a cigar consumer. I mean, industry update, right? Everybody's jumping ship and switching to another ship, and I don't even understand that. I could probably sit down with 11 minutes of show prep and probably produce a whole Stogie Geeks segment on jumping ship and methodology why. And I don't know, it kind of gives me hope. And what I mean by that is, okay, every Stogie Geeks episode I always take, all right, this is the consumer aspect, and let's talk about the business, right, in the industry. And what I think is kind of fascinatingly possible, right, is that the cigar industry is acting a lot like the financial industry. And what I mean by that is you got different players that are jumping ships. They're still in the industry, but they're jumping ships. And what does that tell me, right? From a business perspective, that tells me that there is it tells me one of two things, right? It tells me that there is potential growth within that industry, where people are jumping ships and trying to find a better opportunity to do that, or it tells me that consolidation, that's the word I want to use. Consolidation will be happening soon.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so you know, especially in the financial world, right? If you work for Bank X and do this job and go over to this job, well, you have financial vehicles that apply. Only thing that's really changed is your logo. Oh, no, but it's different. No, it's not. You know what I mean? But what that tells me is that if you look at the bigger picture, say that's like the kind of ground, the boots on the ground level.
Yep.
When you take a 30,000-foot view or whatever a plane flies at, 20,000-foot view, and look at it, you say, oh, wow, there could be a lot of consolidation in the industry. Now, You look at consolidation and you say, okay, maybe. But if you look at economic sectors and how they go, what's the step before consolidation? Collaboration.
Okay.
And at the end of last year, there was a lot of big news on some collaboration.
Very true.
We could do a whole segment on this, and I'm not going to turn it into a segment, even though I could easily do it.
But
I have some drinks here. But anyway.
But to validate your point, you are right, and every business is different, and we're not in that war room with them, but some of them are trying to pivot for growth, and the others are starting to consolidate so they can get other things under their umbrella and just survive because we don't know what's coming up down the pipeline. But overall, both aspects are right and being discussed just like you and I are.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. And when they try to do growth is an internal thing, and it's an external thing. It's an external thing of how they perceive the growth, how the consumer perceives the growth, but it could also be for one calendar year or for 2 or 3 quarters, we're going to maintain this share and really beef up our internal processes to catch up with the growth and all that type of stuff too. So
that is so true.
It's a fascinating thing, and I guess I just gave you a prequel to a segment. So
no, you led right into my first cigar actually.
Oh,
so with the dudes on top, you got to go Long Live the King, Robert Caldwell.
There you go, collaboration.
Boom.
I wonder if I have any collaborations. Go ahead, Russ.
Right on. So then I did comes in with the Churchill, Robusto, or Toro. I smoked the Toro. Wrapper was a Carrillo. Then we got the binder, Nicaraguan. And then we got Dominican and Nicaraguan filler. Now I matched this up with a little bit of wild turkey, and I smoked it. I got some notes, got some honey, but the draw was fantastic on it. Smoked it for a good hour, and it just made me relax, sitting outside watching some golf as some people came by. But it really put me in that mellow mood. And for a Caldwell, Blind Man's Bluff, and then this guy is one of my go-to sticks. I had to give it a box split, and I really respect it. Perfect size with the Toro. I got all the taste, flavors, a little bit of earth, a little bit of cedar. And again, I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to have to give you one after the show.
Mm-hmm. That was a collaboration with Drew, right? Off the top of my head?
No, it was Hit and Run. It's the one with Drew.
Oh, what are you doing?
I'm doing the Long Live the King.
Okay, sorry. I'm good.
But that one's excellent too. Can't go wrong.
Yeah. I'm good. Let me take another sip of my Bloody Mary. I'll get straight.
Exactly.
Still trying to recoup from my meeting.
But yeah, just an excellent stick. I can't go wrong. The price point down with the Florida price is $10.50.
Mm-hmm.
Now up here, maybe $13, a little bit of inflation. But again, go out, have it, enjoy it, and just relax. You can be by yourself, you can be with your friends, but then they're going to say, that smells good, that's probably going to taste good, and then I definitely stand behind it.
Yeah. I like some of the Caldwell offerings for sure. They have a JV line.
Yep.
There too. Some of that stuff is pretty good. They have also a higher end line there that's a little bit more, even though Caldwell can be associated with boutique, it's even more boutique and exclusive. I've had some of their stuff. It's pretty interesting. I love the marketing aspect behind Caldwell, for sure. But it's definitely a good steak. You would give it a box split?
Yeah.
There you go.
What about you, man? What have you been up to? What have you been smoking?
I've had the EP Carrillo Re+United.
And it feels so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. The format is a Toro. It's a 6.5 by 54. You have an Ecuadorian Havana wrapper. You have a Connecticut broadleaf binder. The filler is Dominican Palito Cubano with Nicaraguan from the Jalapa Valley. Complexity, flavor, and balance. Complexity, I gave it a 6. Flavor, I gave it a 7. Balance, I gave it an 8. This stick, the EP Carrillo Re+United, is only available in one size. Again, it's a Toro size. The production is being limited to 1,500 boxes of 10. Some shops did get them. I'm not 100% sold on the exclusivity of this stick. It was given to me, and then I seeked another one for review. My take was the same. It had great balance. Like, I mean, I look at balance, and what I mean by balance of a stick is you smoke it from beginning to end, and it goes through transitional changes, but they're not too drastic changes. You know, complexity. It was kind of, I don't want to say flat, but it was just it was okay. You know, there because of its exclusivity. Now it did well in other ratings, so it could be a Joe palette thing. You know what? It wasn't a tutorial. Hate it. Right.
You're trying something new.
No, I try to keep an open mind with this. I gave it a 5. I mean, I would smoke 5 throughout the course of the year if they were there. I wouldn't work all day at whatever version that you consider work and say I'm really craving that. That's all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, with EP, love some of their stuff like the Dusk, Dark Rituals, great stick. I had to seek that one out after seeing some of your reviews. But I think those ones are smashes. That other one that you were just speaking of, I had it.
Yep.
And you're right. The fiber is right on point.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, I got some taste early on, and then it kind of just dissipated. But I stand by EP. I'm smoking an EP Cardinal right now. So
yeah,
I do like his
EP
stuff
as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely agree with that rating 100%.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, like EP comes out with so much other offerings, and for that to be exclusive, you're like, okay, well, I like some of the regular stuff, right? I happen to be smoking the EP Carrillo 2015 short run.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I like the 13s better, but again, it's probably an age thing for sure.
Yes, it is.
2 years from now, I'll probably like the 15, but that's just the way it goes, and it probably won't last 2 years for that. Knowing my behavior, but yeah, it's like, you know, okay, EP Carrillo came up with this. It's the Re+United. You kind of say, okay, it's got a little bit more going on, tobacco wise, there, and I just kind of, it was okay.
Right on.
You know, that's the way it went.
All right, so I didn't go far for this next stick actually. So the Machu Picchu is exclusive to a Naples cigar shop, Freedom Fine Cigar. Go on the website, check it out. High rating. I'm a Connecticut guy. Try to stay in that medium to mild range. Now, with this, I had the Robusto. It also came in a Toro, Lancero as well. Had the Connecticut wrapper and Nicaraguan and Peruvian filler. That gave it some nice little taste. I'll get into that. And also Nicaragua for the binder. Overall, this stick danced on my mouth because I started off smoking it. It was very mild. And then I ended up getting like a little hint of almond right on my tongue. And I said, wow, this is kind of different. So I asked more about it. And it was just that little Peruvian aspect of it that brings it out to a little different flavor. And I had a cup of coffee with it. And if it's my morning stick, I got to have a cup of coffee with it. This is definitely in my rotation. And I ended up picking up a bundle right on the spot.
Yeah.
And for something that I had never heard of before, I am going to keep going back to this shop and keep finding it. But definitely have to look into this. A guy named Randall Denman did it. Mm-hmm. And ex-Air Force ties and stuff like that. I got to know him, but really his blend of that stick and how he created it all on his own gave it another story. And I was just like, man, slap a band on this brand because this is going to be doing something special pretty soon. So I think he's working on something like that. But the cigar spoke for itself with or without a band on it. And I got to say, the toastiness of it, the construction, and the whole draw was just excellent. Gave it that thing a straight guillotine. And it mellows you out. And that's what I want with a cigar. I want to kind of escape from reality. Have you Machu Picchu?
Yes. I am a fan of the brand. We've had Randall, an interview with Randall here in between segments of having you, actually. You had taken the week off or had some other responsibilities there, or however that logistically worked out. But we had Randall on the show, and he had sent us some samples.
Okay.
And he sent me his entire line. I like the Connecticut's. Fan of the Maduros. Like the Maduro, The Maduro Robusto is really where it's at for me, and I love the hint of Peruvian tobacco that's actually in there.
Yep, you got that taste right there.
What I did, I ordered a bunch of different cigars for my firstborn son is born. Here's a cigar. The Maduros are actually in my rotation to pass out. You know what I mean? I'll probably be passing out cigars for 6 months. It's my first son. But, and it's funny because when I got the bundle, immediately after I held the bundle in my hand, I said, this is not going to be enough cigars to pass out. So I actually have to order some more and to do that. But, yeah, if I had to given that a rating, it would definitely be definitely bundle worthy or box worthy for sure. Could even go as high as fight Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
For me, because it's one of those sticks where, I'm buying a bundle and not to be selfish and I'm going to pass them out, but I'm really looking forward to getting into that bundle. And getting some more bundles so that I can get into them for myself. So.
Right. When I go out, it's just about trying to find that unique little secret inside of a different shop and what they have that makes it unique. And I was just like, you got a whole wall of these? But I had the Maduro too, and I said, this is just as good, and I can handle that.
Yeah.
So for any smoker, that thing in his line, like you said, even going up to a Habano, it's really a treat for yourselves.
Yeah, the Habano was very interesting. It was an interesting smoke. I did like it, but they are all bundle worthy for sure.
Yeah, and that Maduro, Connecticut, definitely right in the sweet spot.
Yeah. I'm, like I said, fan of the brand. Randall, if you're listening, how you doing, sir?
Yeah, we need some more samples.
We need samples. You can't keep shipping the samples. There's already shipped me 2 sections of samples.
All right.
Yeah, I need some more samples. But yeah, definitely. I think, I don't know. What are your thoughts on if you were to put a brand on that and then kind of market that? Do you think, I don't know. I kind of like the Oasis effect. No pun intended from a Stogie Geeks rating, but I kind of like the Oasis effect that came in. These are only available here in this shop and there.
Well, you're talking about a band on it, and first thing when you're trying to penetrate the market, kind of keep it simple and put like a signature on it and things like that. Just kind of keep it simple right now, but put something on there that really can recognize with the people and tell a little bit of your story. And then they'll realize who it is and what the name of the cigar is. That way, they're going to be able to say, hey, do you have this right in stock? And it's also from a price point perspective, if you keep it simple, or if you're going to go gold leaf and all that material, maybe in a second or future line, keep it simple first, and then come out with the second edition and always have something in your run. But the first one, penetrate hard, keep it simple, and I think he's going to be right on the right track when he's doing that.
Yeah. I like the non-band thing, but
okay.
That's...
Well, is this a Cuban, sir? No, but it's got a great taste, and it's kind of... it's got... I don't know. It's got some classic taste to it.
It's a Cuban? I don't smoke garbage. I don't smoke mediocre stuff. Yeah, I went there. I'm good.
When in Rome.
Nah.
I mean, if it's the Monte Cristo number 2, you got to go for it, man.
Yeah, for sure. I have my Uzi weighs a ton Kentucky fire cured swamp thing. Now,
what's up?
There's a lot going on with this stick. Like it's just it's by Drew.
Yeah.
It's Kentucky Fire on the street. It's the MUWAT Kentucky Fire cured swamp thing. Gets a little Candela wrapper. It's good. Format I had, it was a Robusto, 6x54, wrapper binder filler is all non-disclosed. It's available in 3 different sizes: the Robusto, the Swamp Rat, and the Toro. Complexity, flavor, and balance, I gave them all 7s there. It's a stick that has its place, and what I like about where Drew Estate's going with some of their lines is that with the Kentucky Fire Cured, if you're looking for traditional cigar, you might be disappointed, right? If you're looking for traditional taste, you might not find what you're looking for. But Drew has some lines that kind of step out of the box from what other companies that are, they kind of stay in with the box and try to go for a profile. And they put some stuff together. And my initial assessment of this stick is that it has its place, right? If you want to try something different that comes across a little bit of starts off like a pipe tobacco, in my opinion, like it even has that that texture on your palate from what pipe tobacco would be.
Yep.
And clearly the smell. Kentucky Fire Cured is a pretty good merge towards that. Okay. The Swamp Thing goes incredible with Bloody Marys, and the Kentucky Fire Cured, Paul and I had done a segment probably 10, 15 segments back with the Kentucky Fire Cured and Bloody Marys.
Okay.
But then again, for me to say that, it's not like, ooh, it's my Bloody Mary stick, because I pair pretty much everything with a Bloody Mary.
Okay.
Right? But it really goes good together. It's just different on your palate. And my assessment of that is I'd give it a box split, but I'd give it a Bailey box split for a reason. Because you wouldn't burn through, if you're going to box split, right, it's 10, right? You wouldn't burn through these and say, oh, every weekend I'm going to have this stick.
Right.
But to keep them in your rotation and to have something just totally different, out of the box, you feel like getting out of the box.
Right.
Try the Swamp Thing. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, if I could go back, I did a Kentucky Fire Cure a few episodes ago, but with the KFC,
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, pair it with a Budweiser. No, I go Kentucky Fire Cure, Jack Daniel's back. That's how I order it. And the whiskey does bring it out a little extra flavor, and I do like it. I'm going to give it, a 5 on that, because you got to be in the mood for this cigar.
Right.
And that's a lot with the Drew. Like when I first ever had Cuba,
Oh, sure, yeah.
fishing all day long, but that nice aroma came through the air. And with the KFC, you also get that nice aroma, good taste. It's a morning stick for me, 10 or 11. I'm just reaching for it, and I'm like, okay, definitely got to be in the mood for it. But I do seek it out here and there, and it's like part of a little private collection that I have. I got about 3 in my humidor. And when it strikes you, definitely the right pick.
Yeah.
So, Drew, you did it again. I'm a Liga guy, but that's also another great hit by you, my friend, and very creative, because he does have something that goes with everybody, or just bricks and mash drink. Something else goes with the coffee in the morning, and that's my KFC.
Yeah, I think that the KFC series and the Swamp Thing, which has that Kentucky Fire Cured in there with the Candela wrapper, they're both cigars that have their place.
Yep.
And I want to bring up a point. I can't say that with other cigars. And what I mean by that is I've had the and it's no testament to other cigar brands at all, but I'm making a point. Like the Nub, and they've had like their cappuccino brands, or Drew Estate when they had their tobacco. I do lump it in that.
Yep.
Or Macaduno just came out with their coffee series.
Yeah, the Hyde Cafe.
Oh, like all those cigars, the way it leaves a texture on my palate, I'm just not a fan of. I mean, I'm not a fan of the flavored stuff, the rum runners and stuff like that. Although I do know that they have their place, the entry level sticks for some of us, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, getting into cigars and the entry level sticks, but like I would smoke the Kentucky Fire Cured or the Swamp Thing again and have it there. And so Drew kind of put themselves you got to look at the creativity, right? They put themselves in that category of quote unquote flavored non-traditional cigars, but they've crafted it so that the maybe moderate cigar smoker or experienced cigar smoker could say, I would do that again.
Right.
And that's my point. I'm not dogging the other brands. I'm just not a fan of like rum runners and stuff like that. And
Right.
if you go back years and years ago when I first had cigars, we started with some of the flavored stuff. So it's the way it goes.
Yes,
and then you're like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go to whatever. And I think it's great that Drew Estate is excellent at creating categories, right? Paul always talks about this here on Security Weekly, for his other shows, for Security Weekly, where a certain company has its space, right, and they accomplish whatever, they solved this problem for their clients, right?
Right.
But you got to create a category, right? And Drew Estate, if you look at the cigar industry, they create categories. The Cuba Cuba series and the Acid line, it's a category.
It is.
You know what I mean? And then you got Liga Privada, which is in a different, same space, cigar smoker, right? But it's a different category. And then you got the Kentucky Fire Cured, different category. The Undercrown, different category. Then I even say, okay, this year or within the past 8 months, they've created the category of taking their cigars to all their different categories and making subcategories and putting them in tins.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so when you look at it from a business perspective, Drew Estate is phenomenal in the industry at creating categories. And the Kentucky Fire Cured created a category.
Yep.
There you go. There's my rating.
Right.
I gave you the long version.
The one point is there is gradual evolution, and then there's cutting out your own category.
Mm-hmm.
They cut out their own categories and try to be the trendsetter. Now, what does that do for us? Look at it. I got 2 hands. He's got 2 hands. When you got 4 different categories, you got 4 different people, 4 different types of cigar smokers, and they're all reaching for 4 different parts of your product. That's how you make business. That's how you grow business, and that's what he's doing. Great creative strategy. So, yeah. I mean, I'm a Drew guy, but everybody already knew that one.
That's true.
But next one. All right. So I was in Cape Coral.
Cape Coral.
Parolis cigar brand. Cuban seed, Nicaraguan, with the binder and the filler. And the leaf, actually, I had something called the candy cane. Maduro and Connecticut wrapped. And got into a little bit before. This is the Hustler of the South. Now, with this...
Wait, Hustler, you got to make reference now. Not all Stogie Geeks. You have some Northeast ties because you're here pretty frequently as well, right? Hustler, you're speaking in regards to the Kurt Kendall 724 Hustler.
Yes, I am.
Okay, just want to make sure for those like Hustler, like, was it,
Talking about myself. No, I'm kidding. Bada bing. So, here's what happens. I go in and I see a barber pole and I'm saying, okay, what's this? He's like, call it the candy cane down here. I said, okay, whatever. That's the South. I start getting the story about how the Northeast distributor had Chicago roots and he's doing a bar, a cigar shop, and I lit it up and nice and mellow, just like the 724 Hustler. And as I got to the middle of the cigar, it transitioned to just black pepper everywhere. And I was just like, whoa, man. I'm sitting back in my seat. Tell me more about this. And he told me about the Parolis brand and how he's got the exclusivity. And I said, no, what you have here, besides that, is something really special. This extra peppery, more medium-bodied cigar is transitioning in my mouth, and I was having that with some tin cup. I got to tell you, it brought out flavor notes of the cedar, the earth tones, which is right in my wheelhouse. Again, I got to keep going with it. So the final half didn't dissipate at all. I thought it was going to go Connecticut again, but it just stayed medium. Great draw and construction, no leafiness or anything on the back. Straight guillotine cut. He sells them by the bundle. It's definitely a box split for me, and I got to be handing these out to my friends when they're in town because if it's only in Cape Coral, guys, come on down. I'll actually drive the 30 miles up to the shop with you so you can meet Keith and everything like that over there, and he's just fantastic. Great atmosphere, but look at it, seek it out, and the Hustler is still one of my top 5. But I definitely, the candy cane's got a little spot in my heart too now.
Mm-hmm. I like Baba Poles. I think that if you have a series, they're pretty cool. My question to you is, did it transition like back and forth as you were smoking it, or did it smoke like a normal cigar? Like, what I mean by normal cigar is, you start at the beginning and then it gets stronger at the end, or it dissipates how was the actual smokability of that? Because we could do a whole
thing
Stogie Geeks episode on Baba Poles and Baba. I should not Rhode Islanize that. Baba Poles, right? Where they smoke one of two ways, right? They smoke like a traditional cigar and starts off there, it gets a little bit better, and then it gets super awesome towards the end. I love it. Yeah. Like how I do 70% of our ratings, or you can actually feel the transition as it goes through the actual leaf. And the reason I'm asking is because inside, right, cigar has 3 components: wrapper, binder, filler.
Yep. And
most of the flavor comes from the wrapper. That's why we always talk about Lanceros here on the show, right? It's a basic ratio thing. So how did that smoke for you?
So, second part of it, it did transition on the second half, and that's why I was pinned back in my chair. After the first third, which was just a nice mellow Connecticut, the middle was packed with this black pepper and earth component where I really started getting some nicotine, the soils, and just a Maduro and black pepper total transition. And that's what made me pin back and say, I've never had anything like this, and I actually want to have more of it. Because, again, I'm the medium to mild guy, and this thing went medium to a little bit more hardcore medium. And then that's what I said, hey, man, it's not harsh on me either, so I really got to come back and check this out. So it was a transition cigar.
Nice. Yeah. And those are they exclusive to that shop again?
Yep.
See, that's one of the things that I found fascinating when we talked about, and I know I'm saying this like, you live so far away, right? But it's like outside of the Northeast, you could almost do like a Stogie Geeks West Coast, Central, Mountain, and really coordinate that and really get into some of the brands, because some of them just don't make it out of the geographical circumference area of where you're at.
It's
I mean?
like it's like a 6 to 8 thing, 8 states at the most for some of these cigar makers that are trying to make it bigger. But again, you're right. I mean, from Fall River all the way through Rhode Island with our 37 shops, people really don't get the name out there as much as they should, and we really do have some hidden gems over here too, and it all depends on what shop you go to on that certain day, and then somebody will say, hey, try this out.
Right. That's one of the reasons why I like to go to when I travel, right? I mean, first of all, if I go next door to Havana, which I'm there every day now that I'm here at Security Weekly, right? I still spend, when I'm going to have a cigar for me, right? Non-Stogie Geeks, I still spend 11 minutes in the humidor, to where the point the workers just scan the pass and I go in there, like, dude, he's just like, because to me, it's a whole process, right?
Yep.
You walk into the humidor, like I'm smoking a cigar for me. I have no time constraint. Hey, I'm sure it's going to end in 10 days. Hold on, let me check my phone. Right. Yeah, right. I'm sure it's gonna end in 10 days, right? And I go in and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pick this. I'm gonna do, and I like that shopping experience because I don't like to shop anyway, personally.
Yep.
So it's like the only thing I shop for is cigars and Amazon, right?
All right.
But and it's one of those things where you get to go. But now when I go on vacation or I travel and I go to a different shop, like I know Paul just went to Vegas for a huge security conference, Black Hat and DEF CON. The staff went down there, and Paul went to the cigar shop, and he brought home a lot of like rare stuff.
Nice.
You know what I mean? That we're gonna save for another episode and all that stuff. So I'm not gonna give it out too much. But he brought a lot of rare stuff that it's like, wow. And I'm like, how? I never even wow, cool, you know what I mean? And so I venture to say, if when you do some traveling, and if you're a Stogie Geeks listener and you've done some traveling, that's why I've always liked to find out. I've actually most of the interviews that have come through since, say Q2 and Q3 were from outside influencers, either flashing me an email or Stogie Geeks listeners saying, have you ever heard of this brand? And then I log on the research and do that. Next thing you know, I get an interview and stuff like that. So, if you're listening to this podcast and you have a brand out there that you're like, hey, this is what I have in my home shop, or this is what we have in our town, flash me an email, joeh@stogiegeeks.com. I will certainly forward it over to Russ as well. Right and on. We'll do our best to get them on the show and get an interview with them, because it's amazing. Like, I would have never found out about the Machu Picchu if it wasn't for you. Yeah. Like you are responsible for that interview. You know what I mean? I would have never found, because like you said, it's exclusive to that shop, and I think that's fascinating, because even if you look at all of what Stogie Geeks encompasses, right? And we had an interview previously with Altidus and there, you could even peel back that and go boutique and then ultra boutique.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And you could do a whole other Stogie Geek segment on just the onesies. Right. That are shop exclusives, and where they come from and which factory and stuff like that.
And that's why I love the show and I wanted to become a part of it, was because it's honestly, let's make a deal without the money and the prizes. It's when you say, I want what's behind curtain number 3, and you peel back a real hidden gem and you got a Cadillac sitting right there. Yeah. How are you going to know about it unless you play the game?
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. I think that I've often, the business ideas, right? I've often would love to do a show like that would have the categories of that, but we would need 22 versions of you.
True.
To contribute to the show, right? Because you look at the geographical area. Yeah, you can drive 3, 4, 5 hours in Florida, which will get you through Florida and maybe Georgia. Right?
Yep.
Savannah, Georgia, beautiful, by the way. I love that town.
Right? Ashley River, baby, can't go wrong.
Right, and you go down there and you get 22 versions of you all around the U.S. You're in for some serious content and some serious conversations.
Exactly, and with everybody that could be coming on and stuff like that, we want to give you that due time. We want to give you that 40 minutes to actually talk about you and how you got started, and then let's talk about your cigar, because we want to know the man behind it, and then getting to know everything, because you could have an ace. Yeah. We want to know about you too, because you're bringing it to us.
Yeah. And if that shop owner is a shop exclusive and not online, shame on them.
Bam. You got shame.
Actually, we should put that together. If we're going to put that together right now. If you have a stick that's exclusive, a shop exclusive, and a onesie, meaning it's only available at your shop or whatever, email me, joeh@stogiegeeks.com. I want to hear from you. I want to put that together. I would love to get 22 versions of you and doing that, because you take everything that we do here at Stogie Geeks, and then, classic, boutique, blah, blah, blah. We talk about it week after week. You could just do that segment and have just amazing content and amazing exposure for not only the shop but for the industry, and we can make that happen through the power of not only our listening audience but for the people who want to participate in that. And who knows, maybe if you have a laptop and some Skype, we'll have some more guests.
That's right, but that's what it is. You got to break ground somewhere and make it here.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I when you were down there, I was like, if I was down in South Florida, and could only do Stogie Geeks responsibility wise, it would just be one hell of a show.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean,
because it's and the United States has those melting pots of hot spots for cigars. Texas is one of them. Georgia is one of them. Well, Atlanta specifically.
For sure.
There's probably 40 onesies in Atlanta
by itself. Yep.
And I only know like 11. You know what I mean? It's like it's that hot. Northeast gets jumbled up. There's some over. Crux Cigars, when they started, like out of Minnesota. I mean, like, I think it's Minnesota off the top of my head, but yeah, like, you know, and then it gets bigger, and then they go, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like what you said, and it's a different dynamic, and that's why I wanted to come on and actually share a little bit of the southern style of cigar smoker compared to the northeast corridor. I mean, up here, big ring gauges rule. Down there, we like a little Robusto.
Yeah.
A little bit of taste with the Lanceros. We play around with it. And then, you know, I had a pleasure going out to Nashville this year, and Smokers Abbey, shout out. Great spot over there, but Crown Heads, you know, you get all those good ones, and they start off boutique, and all the craft beers out in Nashville. So I'm just saying, like, there's so much else out there that we really got to delve into, and let's get these guys on the show, and let's start talking.
Let's do it. What else you been smoking?
All right, so my last one, Perdomo, Lot 23.
Yes.
Now, Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper, Nicaragua filler, and then...
Your binder's Nicaraguan, too,
yeah.
Yep.
Nicaragua. Lot 23. Met Billy Perdomo a few weeks ago. Fantastic man. Thank you so much for the time and the insight. I had it in a Robusto size. And this was my go-to stick for the recession. 675. Smoked that thing from 09 to 2012. Yeah, those were rough times for me, but whatever.
It was a rough time for pretty much almost everybody, maybe.
And I was like, yo, yeah, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning, collecting my unemployment check, but cup of coffee, Perdomo 23, takes your mind right off of it. Then I was writing the prices right, trying to get on that, but that didn't work out.
It didn't work out?
Yeah, you know, mid down to Contestants Row, too much of a character.
I could picture you on the Price is Right, but anyway, go ahead.
So, earth tones, a little bit of honey, and then I ended up just picking up just a nice natural flavor to it. It was mellow all the way through, and I like that. It just keeps you relaxed, and for the price of the $6.75, I did give it a box. It's because it was part of my rotation for 3 years, so how can I give it anything less than that?
Right.
But the Lot 23 is secret. What was in the lot that made it so special? And we don't know, but I'll tell you what. A lot of people go down there and they pick up a Maduro or they pick up the Connecticut, and they keep going back for it. Down in the south all the way up to the northeast, people really enjoyed the Lot 23. I'm not saying it's a smash with the flavors and everything like that. As far as just a natural medium, this is your winner. This is something you can rely on every single time, and that's the consistency with the Perdomo brand. Really a great introduction to their brands and their lines.
Yeah. They locally, Perdomo's, I don't know what they did internally locally here in the Northeast, but they've started to ramp up some of their stuff, and they're starting to sprout out again there. I noticed that here. I don't know if you noticed that back home, where you know, you got a brand that does solid for 2 years or so, a year and a half. Then it fades, and then it comes back on, and now the shop owner's got 10 facings of that brand back again. Does that still happen back home?
Right now, we got 5 facings. You know, the 20th, the 10th, Champagne, the Noir.
Yeah.
Both Lot 23s, and some stuff coming in. They had something IPCPR at the small batch.
Yeah, they did the small, and it was a Habano wrapper, I believe it was. Yeah.
So they're going to be kicking butt with that, but they did it in a bundle form, and I was just like, all right, like, what's making this different? And it's just that they created a small, more exclusive batch, and people are talking about it. So you get the buzz and that consistency. They're at least going to look into it, and I think it's going to be another medium but very good, different tasting stick.
Gotcha.
So, what else you been smoking?
You gave it a box.
I gave it a box, baby. You can't go wrong at that $6.75.
I'm agreeing. I'm a fan of the Perdomos. I've had them. I like them.
Yeah, and my girl's got me on a budget, so you know, when she controls the debit card, you can't go nuts. Sorry.
I love it. You know, I love it. It's so much better having you here in studio. You gotta do it once a quarter. We gotta figure that out. Viaje.
Bam.
Would not be an episode if I didn't talk about the Tatuaje or Viaje.
Of course.
I had the Viaje Zombie Green from an aging room in the original. That's the boom sauce right there, kid. I don't even know what to say. The format is a Perfecto. It's a 5x52. It's a Nicaraguan Criollo. Its binder and filler is from Nicaragua. Complexity 8, flavor 9, balance 8. It's super awesome. There was only 100 boxes made of 20 cigars, 2,000 cigars total that were ever made in this original batch. The Viaje Zombie Green. I seldomly like to say to the Stogie Geeks listener, I had it, you didn't.
What made it special? Like, what were you tasting off of this cigar?
Let me tell you, it's like part of me says, okay, it's like you find a unicorn, right?
Yeah.
In my repertoire, right? Like, you know, you find a unicorn and you're like, are you serious? You have these? It's like, yeah, they're set back. I visited an aging room that is only opened up once a month in its retail shop.
Wow.
They had some. They weren't cheap. When you have it, like, again, right? Let's talk about why it's good, okay? Let's talk about why it's good, okay? It's set in a humidor. It's aged. The tobacco has had extra time to settle. It's had extra time to relax. It's had extra time to breathe. It's been cared for. It's been cuddled. It's been loved, right? You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden you have it and you're like, shit, this is a damn good smoke, right? Of course, right? Because of all those factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes when they might have first came out or when a brand first comes out, you're like, you know, oh, I gotta have it. You have it. Tobacco's not ready. You don't like it. Because I have given Viaje some lower ratings here on the show, like with the birthday blend, for example. I am not a fan of the Viaje birthday blend. It's a white label project they put together. It's got high ratings other places, and my only assessment is, balance, awesome. Flavor, pretty good. Complexity, Why is it Tobacco's not ready. Now, if you have taken a 2017 or 2018 Viaje birthday blend and put it in a room, love it, cure it, nurture it for 5 years, it's probably going to taste like $1 million.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the rating is a little bit skewed in regards to that. But, you know, when I came across that, I was like, I got to try it, right?
Absolutely.
Obviously, I gave it a fight Chuck Norris for sure. I think that's like the third one I've ever given here. But again, now that's why it tasted good.
Yep.
Now let's get into the components of the cigar, right?
Yeah.
You light up the cigar, you get classic black pepper, right? You're like, oh, wow, cool pepper, like it. I'm a fan of the spice. A lot of people like Connecticut's in the morning. I'm a black pepper morning guy. It is what it is. You know, I've had smoking plenty of stuff by Black Label trading company in the morning on an empty stomach and thoroughly enjoyed it. And people are like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, oh, I smoked that after a big dinner and I go lightheaded. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
You know what I mean? You know, happy Mother's Day to you. That's
it. Boom. Done.
Right? That's my take. Happy Mother's Day, right? But no, you light it up, you get this black pepper, and you're like, oh my God, it's so good. And then I wonder if some of that's like kind of like the placebo effect, right? Like, oh my God, I have this unicorn. Am I just, do I have to like it, right? And then I had it, and I was relaxing, and it burned well. You're getting some awesome notes. You got some Nicaragua, like everything that we talk about if we were to regionalize what we talk about, it's like textbook Nicaraguan.
It checked all the boxes.
You get black pepper, then it starts to fade a little bit to some of the white pepper. Then you get a leather component towards the end, and then dare I say, even though it's Nicaraguan, it's been aged for, it just gets to be creamy texture, not taste. So you get like a creamy texture in there, light smoke, and you're like, it's not harsh. I did the Calibri deep V cut like I usually do, or V cut. I'm a V cut guy if I can, or bullet, right? And I just thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And when I had it, I was like, thank you, sir. Can I have another?
Right. How many did you pick up overall?
They only sell 2. The aging room, not company, but the aging room specifically to the cigar shop that has this, that they usually sell
limit 2 per customer,
and they limit 2 per customer.
They give you the old Opus.
They give you the old Opus Shuffle, right? So anyway, that's pretty much it. I give it a fight Chuck Norris. It's good. I usually never do sticks like that, because I never like to say, because I mean I could probably do a segment, and so could Paul,
right?
And with a little bit of research, so you could definitely pull that together where you are geographically. Of hey, this is what I can smoke and you can't. So and I try to be fair, but I'm like, this is one of the originals, like you know what
exactly.
I mean? Like,
Christmas came early.
Yeah, so it was good, and it was definitely a good stick to have.
Beautiful.
So before we wrap up and talk a little bit about that interview, right quick, spend a couple minutes on that. What are your thoughts on some of the interview process that we've done with Altadis? And if you're just tuning in, or if you didn't watch the first segment, you can go back and catch that. It's a very quick segment that we had with Altadis.
Well, just with the interview and time alone, it's precious. Now, what they got going on, they could have been back to back to back, and they took the time out of their day to totally come on, talk to us, talk about the new brands. And, I mentioned that they had an Alfa Romeo, and you mentioned the booth right during the setup. Like, what catches the person's eye to make you walk up to that booth? We wish we could have talked more about it, because they have a selling competition for a 2-year lease on an Alfa Romeo. If we could have dove into, like, what's going to motivate your salesman, what's the best cigar that you got coming out of Las Vegas that they're selling the most like hotcakes right now, we could have delved into it more, but always because of the time constraint, we're playing a really quick tennis match. First 1 to 3 wins, I guess.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I wish it was like cigars where first rule is you don't rush the process.
Sure. Some interviews are like that.
Yep.
Some interviews are like that where they have an open time constraint. Some of them you try to, and it also depends on who you speak within the company.
For sure.
You know what I mean? Like that was supposed to be a Rick Alvarez only interview, and then he decided to cram in Eddie.
Yep.
Eddie crammed in Eddie, and then by the way, give me this time constraint. I'm like, really? Like okay, we'll figure that out as we go along, and I think that we did a good job. A couple of takeaways for me, right? The Mastro series. You ever have that?
I had actually the first year it came out, and it was fantastic. They really do put a lot of craftsmanship into the Master series, and like picking the finer tobaccos and really going in. So their process is fantastic, and we could always delve into that with all the extra questions. But again, the time constraint does put a magnifying glass in a explosive that's not even there.
See, one of the things I look at too, like the Mastro series, right? The Mastro series is a correct pronunciation. They've had, it was a panel, right?
Yep.
And I'm making it up, 8 to 12 people, I think, maybe 6, right? And it was a panel, and they brought it together, and they created that blend. Okay, I thought it was 5 batches. I guess it was 4, right? And they created that blend. And I look at it and I say, okay, I get the concept. It's cool. It's so, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, right? That concept. But it was a collaboration. And now Davidoff does that.
Yes.
With a bunch of projects, and one that comes to mind is the Golf and the Chef. Now, the one I know a little bit more about process is the Chef series, right?
Absolutely.
The Davidoff Chef, where they say, okay, this cigar is meant for after these components, culinary, and they get a bunch of different world-known chefs from wide regions, and they create a panel, and they try to get into the chef's head of what the palate is to go there. Now, I look at that from a business perspective, and I say, okay, great, Davidoff. They're on their own planet, right?
Yep. Romeo
and Julieta think they're on their own planet, right? Or out to this, and they are. They have market share, and I don't want to take away from anything that they do.
Right.
But it's different when two companies can do the same thing: create a panel, put a cigar out there that speaks to what the panel's collaboration work is, and then they present a product, right?
Yes.
And so Davidoff did that, and Romeo and Julieta did that. And then you also have now collaboration, I thought, last year at this time, collaboration was going to be a little bit more frequent, because last year at this time, in the cigar world, a lot of collaboration projects were building up, and pre-IPCPR. So it was like, wow, like I honestly think that there's going to be, and I've said this here on the show, there's going to be a ton of collaboration work in 2018.
That's all you heard.
That's going to be crazy. And then it kind of fizzled out.
Yes.
You know? So it's like you can almost have like two sets of collaboration, right? Two companies colliding and coming up with a blend, or you can come up with internal and a panel of people outside, and both of them yield different results.
True.
You know, and both of them, some of them have been very well received, and some of them have not. You know, and I often wonder, you know, with the Mastro series and how they did that. You know, let's take a couple seconds and talk about business. They also launched it at the birth of the Monte Cristo Social Club. Right, which we didn't even have a chance to get into.
Yeah.
Right, like you had this whole Monte Cristo Social Club movement going on, where not only you can go and participate, but then you can go, and then you have the Mastro series, and you participated. Then you had a whole online learning series, and I wish we had more time to kind of get into that.
Right.
So we had that argument of the Mastro series.
So much.
Then we had the argument of what they were doing with the aging room. Okay, and then now they're going to put so going back to the Mastro series, now everybody's going to get it. Okay, great. And now you got the aging room project, and then you got, they mentioned the Monte Cristo Espada, and one other one was a punch. It's a punch? No.
AJ.
AJ.
Nicaragua. But the big Nicaraguan influence is where they're shifting towards.
And so here's the takeaway from that, right? The Nicaraguan influence is here to stay.
Absolutely.
And when I brought that up in the interview, it was kind of, if it were a natural cadence of an interview, that would have brought crickets.
Yes.
But we didn't get a chance to hear the crickets because of the time constraint that both of us were keeping an eye on the time.
Yeah.
But that Nicaragua, and what tells me is that, especially from our interview last week, and we kind of wrap up on that, where, you know, I really hope that the situation in Nicaragua gets better and that they can come to a better agreement. I mean, I'm glad it's not violent now there, but so that us consumers, we can continue to have crazy good products or great products.
On the topic of that, whether we ended Placencia last week with those two big questions, FDA and also Nicaragua. His message was simple. He's there, boots on the ground, things like that. We will persevere, and I think that's very optimistic for the whole thing. And when it comes to Esteli, especially in Nicaragua, you're talking about what California wine did to the French wine industry. It is its own ground mark, here to stay, and it's going to field beautiful results for every consumer, and definitely seek it out, keep an eye on it. Yeah. Definitely here to stay, and Nicaraguan tobacco speaks for itself. Doing a great job, guys, and I wish nothing but the best for it to keep going and forward progress. It's a great analogy. It's a great analogy when you're talking about business stuff like that, for sure. Boom. For sure. Hey, man, thanks for making the pilgrimage up here to Rhode Island. Always a good time on the Stogie Geeks. Always a good time. Until next week, keep smoking the cigars. Have a good one. Peace.